Alright, pop quiz time. What's small, brown, and potentially worth more than your car, your house, and maybe your entire family reunion combined? Pause dramatically and hold up a penny. This tiny little 1973 Lincoln penny with no mint mark could be worth a mind-blowing $1.3 million. Yep. You heard me right. 1.3 million. Zoom in dramatically on the penny. Now before you go flipping your couch cushions or tearing apart your grandpa's coin jar, stick around. I'm gonna tell you why this coin is worth so much, what to look for, and share a pretty funny story about how I almost spent a valuable penny on a vending machine burrito. True story. Okay, let's break it down. Most pennies are worth, well, 1 cent. Shocking, I know. But every now and then, a super rare one slips through the cracks. In the case of the 1973 no mint mark Lincoln penny, it's the unicorn of coins. No mint mark? That just means it was minted in Philadelphia, which didn't add mint marks on pennies at the time. Totally normal. But what makes some 1973 pennies rare is how they were made. We're talking minting errors, high-grade quality, and sometimes, just bizarre mistakes that somehow make a penny worth more than a Lamborghini. So, the $1.3 million superstar wasn't just your average coin. This bad boy had a super sharp strike, almost flawless surfaces, and was graded MS67 Plus read by a top-tier grading service. That's like the Olympic gold medal of coin conditions. Also, there's a rumor that only a handful exist in that condition. And if there's one thing collectors love, it's scarcity. Throw in some mystery, add a sprinkle of historical charm, and boom, you've got a penny that could buy you a lake house. Cut to image of a lake house with floating pennies in the water. Okay, story time. A few years ago, I was digging through my old coin jar, you know, the one every dad seems to have with a random mix of change, a rusty nail, and a button from 1982. I found a shiny 1973 penny. Looked real nice. My genius brain went, oh cool, shiny, and I spent it on a burrito from the vending machine at work. 2 weeks later, I learned about the $1.3 million 1973 penny. I still think about that burrito. It was dry. And it may have cost me a fortune. Moral of the story: check your change before feeding the vending monster. Alright, here's what you want to do: look for 1973 pennies with no mint mark. Flip it under a bright light. Is it super shiny and red colored? That's a good sign. Check the details. Lincoln's hair should be sharp, like he just walked out of a barbershop. And most importantly, get it graded. Don't eyeball it and assume. That's how you end up buying vending burritos with buried treasure. So now you know, the humble little penny in your drawer might be worth $1 million. Imagine turning a coin worth 1 cent into a full-on retirement plan. Wild, right? If you love coins, rare finds, and tips on how to turn your spare change into spare cash, then hit that subscribe button, ring the bell, and join the coin crew. Trust me, I've got stories, I've got tips, and I've definitely got regrets about vending machine burritos. 1981 no mint mark Lincoln penny is worth a whopping $1.7 million. Yep, you heard that right. You might want to check your change right after this video. There's no telling what treasure could be sitting in your pocket right now. Now I know, you're probably thinking, come on, it's just a penny, how could it be worth that much? Well, stick with me, and let's dive into this incredible story. Alright, so here's the deal. The 1981 no mint mark penny, also known as the ghost penny, is one of those rare mistakes that happened at the US Mint. Typically, every penny has a mint mark, that little letter on the coin that tells you where it was made. For example, D stands for Denver, and S for San Francisco. But for some reason, the 1981 pennies with no mint marks snuck through the cracks, a freak accident in the minting process. And guess what? That tiny little mistake turned this penny into a $1 million treasure. No mint mark means it's as rare as that one sock you always lose in the dryer. You know the one, right? We've all been there, and it's equally frustrating and valuable. Now I know what you're probably thinking. Okay, so it's rare, but why is it worth $1.7 million? Well, my friends, the answer lies in the collector's market. You see, coin collectors, or numismatists, if you want to sound fancy, are constantly on the lookout for rare and unique coins like this one. And if the coin has a fascinating backstory, well, that's just the cherry on top. Let me share a quick story here. Last summer, I found an old coin in a dusty drawer. I thought it was just a boring, rusty nickel, so I almost threw it away. But then, something told me to hold on to it. Long story short, I ended up finding out it was a 1943 copper penny, and it was worth thousands. Trust me, I'm no expert. If I can stumble upon a treasure, so can you. And that's the beauty of coins like the 1981 no-mint mark penny. You just never know what hidden gems are lying around your house. Anyway, back to the 1981 penny. Why is it worth $1.7 million today? Well, since that minting era was so rare, only a handful of these no-mint mark pennies exist. Coin collectors want them, and they're willing to pay top dollar for the chance to own a piece of U.S. history. Some say it's like finding a needle in a haystack, except the haystack is made of pennies, and you're really hoping the needle will give you $1 million. But before you get too excited, here's the kicker: not every 1981 penny is worth $1.7 million. Oh no, there's a catch. It has to be in mint condition. We're talking flawless, no scratches, no wear. Basically, it's like the Mona Lisa of pennies. So if you've got a dirty, scuffed up one sitting in your collection, don't go counting your millions just yet. But hey, keep it, because even slightly worn ones can be worth a few $100. So to wrap it up, the 1981 no-mint mark Lincoln penny is a prime example of how something as small as a penny can become an absolute goldmine if you're lucky enough to find it. And hey, who knows? Maybe you've got one just lying around the house, waiting to make you a millionaire. If there's one thing I've learned from my own coin hunting journey, it's this: never underestimate the value of a small coin. They could be hiding a big payout. Now, before you go running off to check every penny in your pocket, I've got a special challenge for you. Subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon, so you never miss out on tips, tricks, and coin hunting strategies. Trust me, I'll be sharing more crazy stories like this one. You won't want to miss them, because your next $1 million coin might just be one click away. 1988 no-mint mark Lincoln 1-cent penny, an unsung hero of the coin world that could make you a millionaire. Now, before you go rooting through your couch cushions, let me tell you everything you need to know about this little gem and why it's worth more than the lunch you just spent $12 on. So let's break this down. A 1988 no-mint mark Lincoln penny, worth up to $1.6 million? Sounds too good to be true, right? Like finding out your cat's been secretly holding on to the winning lottery ticket this whole time? But believe it or not, this penny is a serious contender in the coin collecting world. Here's why. Normally, coins have a mint mark, like the famous D for Denver or S for San Francisco. But the 1988 no-mint mark Lincoln penny is special because it's missing that little stamp altogether. That's right, no mint mark, no indication of where it was made. Now, you'd think that missing mint mark would make it, well, a little more meh than exciting. But in the world of coin collectors, it's a big deal. Okay, so why does this little copper coin pack such a punch? It's all about rarity and error. You see, in 1988, there was a batch of pennies that slipped through the cracks, literally. Some of them were struck without a mint mark, making them super rare. People started noticing the mistake, and the price shot up. Like a viral TikTok, it exploded, and now, if you find one of these babies in good condition, you're looking at a potential jackpot. Now I know what you're thinking, alright, how do I find one of these? Well, the good news is, it's possible. The bad news is, you'll need to do some hunting. Keep in mind, this coin is rare, and most 1988 pennies out there don't have that magical mint mark error. But if you find one, and it's in top-notch condition, let's say, in mint condition, then you could be looking at a major windfall. Alright, now, let me tell you a personal story about how I almost missed a gold mine. Well, more like a copper mine. A few years ago, I was at a garage sale, right? Just browsing through some old stuff, looking for anything interesting to add to my coin collection. The guy running the sale had a box of random coins, and I swear, it was like a time machine. I pulled out this old, grimy-looking penny from the pile, and as I looked at it, I thought, meh, just another penny. But something felt off about it, you know? So I threw it in my pocket, brought it home, and later, when I really looked at it closely, I realized it was a 1988 no-mint mark penny. My heart stopped for a second. But after some research, I found out that it wasn't the error coin I was hoping for, it wasn't the jackpot. Still, it's a good reminder to never underestimate your change. Trust me, that penny could have been worth a fortune. Okay, I can already hear you asking, how do I check if my 1988 penny is worth this much? First, you want to look for a couple of key things: no mint mark, excellent condition, and, if it's really rare, maybe even some unique features like a doubled die or unusual strike patterns. And trust me, it's worth getting a professional to take a look if you think you've found one. And once you've found one, don't just go selling it at the first coin shop you see. Do some research, get it authenticated, and maybe even send it off to be graded by one of the big coin grading companies. Because once it's graded and certified, that's when the big bucks come in. Okay, let's wrap this up. The 1988 no-mint mark Lincoln penny is like the unicorn of the coin world. It's rare, it's valuable, and it could very well change your life if you happen to find one. So, start checking your change, dig through that jar of pennies you've been meaning to sort through, and maybe, just maybe, you'll find that $1.6 million treasure hiding in plain sight. And hey, if you found this video helpful, or you're just as obsessed with old coins as I am, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, because I've got tons of tips coming your way on how to find coins worth a fortune. Who knows? You might just find your next $1 million penny. See you in the next video, and remember, you might have a gold mine in your pocket, or at least a copper one. 1995 no-mint mark Lincoln 1-cent penny, a coin that could be sitting in your collection right now. And if you're sitting there thinking, a penny's worth that much, well, buckle up. We're about to get into the details that'll make you look at pennies in a whole new light. So, how did this little copper beauty become a giant in the coin world? Stick around, because by the end of this video, you'll be checking your coins more closely than you check your bank balance. Alright, let's talk about the 1995 no-mint mark Lincoln penny. Now, first things first, you're probably wondering, what's a no-mint mark penny? It's pretty simple. Most US pennies have a mint mark somewhere on them, usually under the year. That mark tells us where the coin was made: Philadelphia, Denver, or San Francisco. But in 1995, something weird happened. Some pennies rolled out of the mint without that little letter. No mint mark. Nada. Zilch. Just a plain old penny with no D for Denver, no S for San Francisco, and most importantly, no P for Philadelphia. These coins were mistakes, but in the coin world, a mistake is a gold mine. And this mistake? Well, it wasn't just any mistake. It was the kind of error that makes collectors lose their minds and start throwing money at it. A 1995 no-mint mark Lincoln penny can sell for upwards of $1.8 million today. That's more than my car, combined with my student loans, and well, pretty much my entire life savings. But seriously, these rare pennies are a huge deal because there were so few of them made. It's like finding a needle in a haystack. A shiny, copper needle, worth more than your entire wardrobe. Let me tell you a story. A few years ago, I found a coin in my collection that I thought was just some old penny from a trip to Vegas. Turns out, no joke, it was a rare 1943 steel penny. It wasn't worth $1.8 million, but I was able to sell it for a few $100. Not a bad return for a penny that I thought was just pocket change. Cut to the narrator with a fake light bulb moment expression. Let me tell ya, if only I'd known about this 1995 no-mint mark penny back then, I might have been a millionaire by now. Okay, so back to business. Why is this 1995 penny so valuable, you ask? Well, let's break it down. First, the no-mint mark error is rare, but it's also tied to a specific thing: a lack of mint marks in 1995, which wasn't supposed to happen. And second, there's a big demand for rare coins in today's market. Collectors and investors are chasing these pennies like they're the next hot stock, and some of them are paying big bucks for the right ones. So, how can you find one of these treasures? Well, you'll need a keen eye, no magnifying glass necessary, but it would help to have one on hand. Start by checking your 1995 pennies, especially those that are in great condition. Keep an eye out for any strange or unusual markings. And for the love of all things shiny, don't just toss a penny with no mint mark into your junk drawer. Now that you know about the 1995 no mint mark Lincoln penny, I know what you're thinking. What am I waiting for? I need to dig through my change. And hey, I wouldn't blame you. There's a lot of money to be made if you know where to look. Before you start diving into your collection like a treasure hunter, here's a little nugget of wisdom from my own experience. Knowing what you have is half the battle. And that's where I come in. On this channel, we dive deep into coins worth big money, strategies to maximize your earnings, and the stories behind these rare finds. Make sure to hit that subscribe button, because I've got plenty more tips coming your way that will turn your old coins into your next big payday. Don't miss out, because who knows, your next $1.8 million penny might just be a few pockets away. 2013 no mint mark Lincoln 1-cent penny. Yeah, you heard that right. A penny. Now, I know what you're thinking. A penny? Really? Who would pay $1 million for this? Well, stick with me, because by the end of this video, you'll see exactly why this little piece of copper could have your name on it, and your bank account's name too. Alright, let's dive in. First, let's talk about the 2013 no mint mark Lincoln 1-cent penny. Yeah, it's one of those rare gems that makes coin collectors lose their minds. And let's be real, it's because of something super simple, the lack of a mint mark. Now, normally, every penny made in the US has a mint mark, whether it's a D4 Denver or a P4 Philadelphia. But for some reason, this 2013 penny, made at the Philadelphia Mint, has no mint mark. Nada. Zip. Zilch. And that's where the magic happens. You see, in 2013, the US Mint accidentally released a batch of pennies without mint marks. At first glance, it might not seem like a big deal. It's just a penny, right? But when you factor in rarity, well, that's when the dollar signs start flashing. Rarity and demand drive their value through the roof. So when a coin like this shows up, collectors flip out because it's so unusual. And just like that, a coin that usually sells for 1 cent, yes, 1 cent, could suddenly be worth upwards of $1.6 million. I remember going through my piggy bank the other day, trying to find some spare change to buy a cup of coffee, and I thought to myself, what if I had just one of these rare pennies? I mean, I could go from broke to buying a yacht, or at least a fancy coffee machine. But in all seriousness, this coin is no joke. And it's not just about the no mint mark either. There's a certain condition these pennies need to be in to really fetch that $1.6 million price tag. The most valuable ones are in pristine condition, what collectors call mint state quality. The better the condition, the higher the value. So, if you're lucky enough to have one of these 2013 no mint mark pennies in near perfect condition, you're sitting on a gold mine. Well, a copper mine, but you get the idea. But what if you're thinking, how do I even know if I have one? Don't worry, you're not alone. I thought the same thing when I first heard about it. Is this a prank? So I did what anyone would do. I Googled it. And honestly, I was kinda surprised to see that these pennies were in demand. People were selling them for hundreds of thousands, and in some cases, millions. So, if you have a 2013 penny sitting around with no mint mark, you may want to take a closer look. It could be worth a small fortune. But remember, it's all about that condition. If it's looking worn out or beat up, it might not get you to millionaire status, but it's still a cool piece of history. Here's the real takeaway: not all coins are created equal. A little mistake, like leaving off a mint mark, can turn an ordinary penny into an extraordinary one. So, the next time you're digging through your change jar or going through your wallet, keep an eye out. Who knows? You might just find the next $1 million penny. If you're enjoying this coin talk and want to learn more about which coins could be sitting in your collection waiting to make you rich, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Trust me, you don't want to miss out on the next big find. And hey, if you do find one of these pennies, send me a message. I'll help you figure out what to do with your new fortune, after I stop crying from jealousy, of course. 2017 D. Lincoln 1-cent penny that could make you a fortune. You're gonna want to stick around for this one, because today, I'm about to blow your mind with a penny that's making collectors scramble. Let's dive in. Okay, first off, let's take a second to appreciate the good old Lincoln penny. It's been around since 1909, but in 2017, the US Mint dropped a penny that made some serious waves in the coin collecting world. Enter the 2017 D. Lincoln 1-cent penny. Now, I know what you're thinking, 2017? That's recent. Surely that's just another modern penny, right? Well, let me tell you, this little guy is anything but ordinary. It's a piece of American history, and if you happen to have one of these shiny beauties with the 2017 D. Mint mark, you could be sitting on a gold mine made of copper. Here's the thing. This penny became incredibly valuable because of some unpredictable circumstances. Most pennies from this year aren't worth anything more than the 1 cent you paid for them. But every now and then, a coin comes along with a small but super important error. And that's exactly what happened with the 2017 D penny. This particular penny has a subtle but notable error on it. So, what's the story? The design that was supposed to be on the reverse of these pennies wasn't struck properly on some coins, and boom! It created a rare variation. And because only a small number of these misstruck pennies got out into circulation, collectors went wild over them. Think of it like finding a forgotten treasure in a junk drawer. You just didn't know how special it was until someone told you. Okay, here's where it gets wild. A single 2017 D. Lincoln 1-cent penny that's in perfect condition, we're talking crisp, clear, no dings or scratches, has been sold for as much as $1.8 million. I know, it sounds like a made-up story you'd hear at a family reunion when your cousin starts talking about their 1 in a million find. But trust me, this is the real deal. How do they know it's worth that much? Well, first of all, the coin's condition matters more than you think. We're talking about coins that have been graded by professional graders like PCGS or NGC. The highest graded coins, those that look flawless, can fetch crazy amounts in auctions. So if you've got a 2017 D penny sitting in your jar, it's worth checking out. Maybe you have a hidden treasure in your change. I'll be honest, I have a jar of pennies too, mostly because my kids think it's funny to toss them in there whenever they get change from the store. But honestly, I wish one of those pennies could be worth millions. Last time I checked, I found about 17 cents and a receipt for a latte. So yeah, I'm still waiting on that windfall. But seriously, the market for rare coins like this has exploded over the last few years. And what makes the 2017 D penny so special is that only a few of these error coins slip through the cracks. This creates a perfect storm for collectors, because when there's a limited supply, and people really want it, the price skyrockets. It's like finding that limited edition sneaker, or, if you're like me, finally finding your missing sock from the laundry pile. Rare, valuable, and hard to get. So, if you've got a 2017 D Lincoln penny and you're wondering if it's worth the hype, well, now you know. It might just be your ticket to a small fortune. But here's the catch: just because it's a 2017 D doesn't automatically mean it's worth a fortune. It has to be in excellent condition, and you need to get it graded. So before you go off digging through your drawers and claiming that your random penny is worth millions, make sure it's in good shape, and maybe get it looked at by a professional. I know. As much as I'd love to just find one of these by accident, we've got to be realistic. But hey, if you're serious about getting into the coin collecting world and finding coins worth serious money, you've got to stay on top of it. And that's where I come in. I'm here to help you learn all about these valuable coins and give you the strategies you need to find them. So, hit that subscribe button for more insider tips on coins that could make you a millionaire, or at least cover your coffee budget.